Hello, it's Anne Marie with AM Astrology. And excuse my appearance with my hat. I had to go to the dermatologist because I had melanoma a few years ago, and so I have to go all the time. And whenever they see anything, they get very nervous. And so I have this spot here, and that, rather than biopsy it, they gave me this cream, and so now it's like flakes. It's horrible. And then there's a huge spot up here that we're not even going to look at. Keeping the hat on. So anyway, hoping the cream works and I don't have to have biopsies and more. But anyway, I wanted to look at, I'm learning about the Aries Ingress and how to read the chart. And so anyway, I wanted to look at, which is when, sorry, Aries Ingress, when the sun moves into 0 degrees of Aries at the spring equinox. And that is when the sun is starting to pause. So I'm at home today, but work is still happening. So anyway, when the sun gets to 0 degrees Aries, which is the spring equinox and the start of light, no, it's when equal light, it's the equinox, equal light. But it's considered the astrological new year for whatever reason, okay? So anyway, and so when you look at a chart for the Aries Ingress for a specific country, you can, whatever country you want, you would set it for the capital of that country. And then if the ascendant is on a fixed sign, it holds for that whole year. The energies will be there for that whole year. If it's a mutable sign, then you would look at the Libra ingress as well to get additional information. And then if it's in a cardinal sign, then you would look at all of the seasons, Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn for additional insights. So anyway, so I pulled it up for this year and share everything. Oops. Oh goodness. Everything, and that means everything. So Aries Ingress for 2024, March 19th, 2024, Washington, D.C., since that's the capital. And I am not even going to look at all of this stuff because I'm learning and I want to keep this short because there is just so much in it. But what we're going to start with is that the rising sign is fixed, Scorpio. So that means that the energies of this ingress chart will hold until the next Aries ingress in 2025. Scorpio is ruled by Mars traditionally, and I use traditional rulerships. And so Mars, you can see here, this is the Mars glyph. And Mars significations are in a mundane chart, which is what this is. Mars signifies police and military, metalworking facilities, and inclinations towards war. I guess I should back up and explain that the planet that rules the ascendant represents the people of the nation, okay? So the people of the nation, Mars, already we're getting the picture of that this year is going to be malefic. It is going to be rough, because so in a night chart, well, we're going to leave that out. We're not even going to talk about that. But okay, so there is an old astrologer, like from, the ancients, explains that when Mars is in an angle in the ingress chart, that you can pretty much guarantee that there's going to be issues regarding war, no matter which angle it is. The fact that Mars is at the bottom of the chart at 27 degrees of Aquarius in the 4th house, right on the IC, increases that emphasis. So Mars is the 4th house significations in a mundane chart or almost any chart, but it's homeland, the homeland, farming, and it also represents rebels because it is in opposition to the house of authority. So we've got Mars here, war, rebels. It's not looking really good. Like I said, there's an awful lot going on. So this Mars is in Aquarius, and it's peregrine, which means that it doesn't have any essential dignity. It's not in its own sign. It's not exalted. It doesn't have Boggy. Oh, sorry, I'm trying. Okay, so I've got the conniption guy. So I'm talking about Mars being peregrine. It doesn't have any essential dignities. It's not in its own sign, exaltation, triplicity, term, or face, which are traditional type dignities. And it's not essentially, it doesn't have any essential debility either, which means it's not in detriment or in fall. So because it's neither dignified nor debilitated, peregrine is like it's a homeless wanderer in a foreign land, not knowing the language and having no friends. It is not necessarily good or bad, but we're talking about Mars. And a peregrine planet, because it's easier, can generally, it's more likely that it's going to function badly. So that just kind of adds a little more maleficence to Mars. Sometimes, what is the term? Feral. If a planet is peregrine, it could be considered feral. So, so there, we've got a bunch of feral rebels running around all next year. We might be the rebels. Who knows? I mean, like it's just going to be a theme for the whole year. This year. I mean, 2024, starting in March. So, what else can I say about this? It's co-present with Pluto in Aquarius. But other than that, besides being on the IC, there's completely, it's unaspected. It's like not communicating. And again, I'm dealing with traditional planets and traditional aspects, Ptolemaic aspects, because it's, what did it say? So it is in like this in conjunct to Neptune here, you know, because they're 30 degrees, but we're not going to discuss that. I'm not considering that. It's unaspected by any of the traditional planets. And so that means that it has no natural relationship with any other planet in the chart. And that indicates that its energy needs to be developed or used. Mars is associated with action, aggression, anger, and sexuality. So it will need to express that energy. It just puts that, it kind of just underlines it in bold magic marker saying Mars. It's going to be a very Martian year, okay? Very Martian. So this Mars at 27 degrees Aquarius is rather interesting because, so then I want to see about looking at a biwheel and put that there, and then the United States chart here, and boom, it is exactly conjunct the moon in the US Sibly chart. So when, and I'm going to be reading from, let me get organized here while I have a dog in my lap. Planets in Transit by Robert Hand. Can you see that? Planets in Transit. And so when Mars connects with the moon in conjunction, it blends the energies. And so under this transit, you may feel, and this is going to be like for an individual, so we're going to try to incorporate it into the idea of the whole nation. But under this transit, you may feel briefly irritable. Therefore, it is not a good time to discuss any issues that are critical, because you will find it difficult to maintain your equilibrium and not fly off the handle. On the other hand, if someone challenges you unjustifiably, you certainly won't back down without a fight. The main problem is that your sense of perspective may be so distorted that you cannot tell the important issues from the trivial ones, and will defend both with equal vigor. There is also the risk that you will act hastily on many matters, impulsively and without foresight or planning. All you seem to care about is exercising your will and getting your own way. Obviously, with this transit, you must try to calm down and be willing to compromise on any issue that is not really central to you. Also, avoid quarrelsome people whom you may attract, even though you are not conscious of the discordant energies within you. These same effects can be used for good. If you can control yourself, you will be able to take initiatives that would be difficult at other times. What seems like foolhardiness can also be bravery. It is all a matter of control. You have the will and the strength now to break down otherwise formidable barriers. Again, I'm just hearing rebels, right? I'm hearing conflict. Because we've got, simply without even me having to read all of that, we've got emotions and we've got aggression, aggressive emotions, hard, blended together. So there's that, and that is the US chart. Then if we switch up, because this Mars is connecting on a number of levels to a number of charts. So we're going to go back here, and then we're going to go to Joe Biden. So I'm not going to look at the South Node, although I think that that's pretty significant. But what I am looking at is his sun, and there's a square directly to his sun. So this means you will have to be very conscious of yourself and your motivations. You are likely to have serious ego conflicts with others, especially if you allow your actions to be dictated by subconsciously motivated energies. As with all squares, this transit tests the validity of a position that you took or a statement that you made, either literally or figuratively, about 6 months ago. And at first when I read that, I was like, why, how, what? But 6 months ago, Mars would have been conjunct October, right? Okay, so anyway, circumstances as well as other people will be looking for chinks in your armor. Hey, wait, so when did he announce that he was actually officially running? Was that October? That'd be interesting. Something to look up that I didn't bother to do before I got here. Circumstances as well as other people will be looking for chinks in your armor, flaws in your preparation, errors to challenge you with. If you consciously know what you are doing, you will be better prepared to handle that challenge, as well as your experience of your own energies. Your energy level will be high, perhaps too high, if you are not careful. Watch for signs of irritable impatience with others whenever things do not go exactly as you planned. Be assertive only when the situation calls for it, not whenever you feel like it. Also, watch out for baseless conflicts with others, which you may not necessarily instigate yourself. The effects of any transit may be projected. That is, they may seem to originate with someone else. In this case, you may not feel at all belligerent, but nevertheless, you are attracting belligerence from others. Because the sun indicates persons or structures that are centers of energy, power, and authority, you should be particularly careful with conflicts with authorities. Voice your complaints if they are legitimate, but expect a certain amount of hostile reaction to them. And he is the authority. So, and that would be side note, when I look at this chart in another video, I'm going to be looking at the sun as the authority of our nation, as the president, but we're not doing that today. So voice your complaints if they are legitimate, but expect a certain amount of hostile reaction to them. Also be careful that the tone of your complaint does not aggravate this hostility. What you get is usually a function of the energies that you put out. On the physical level, try to find an outlet for your vigorous energies. Do something that requires a lot of hard work and gives your aggressions a satisfactory outlet. Frustrated personal energies can lead to illness or accidents if the energy turns inward. In fact, if you feel no aggressive energies at all under this transit, you ought to be concerned because you have probably sublimated the energy and may experience it through illness or accident. Or you may have projected it so that you attract angry and difficult people. If used consciously and intentionally, this energy is positive and can help you accomplish considerable work and establish yourself in any position you want, like president for the next 4 years. Okay, so we've established now that this Mars is playing bingo on Joe Biden's chart. And so now we are going to just look, because, you know, at the Orange Menace. Where is it hitting his, what is it doing to his chart? Oh, look, it's opposing his Mars. Fabulous. So, opposition. During this transit, you have a very strong need to assert yourself, but you may do it in a way that provokes conflict with others. Well, did the sun come up today? And if you try to suppress this need for ego expression, you may have to contend with someone else's attempts to be overbearing. On the other hand, this could possibly be a time of very vigorous and successful work in which you succeed by asserting your own individuality toward others in some way. The lesson that you must learn is that your own success does not have to be at someone else's expense, but under this transit, you may feel that it does. And so you respond either by trying to dominate others unnecessarily or by reacting negatively to anyone else's successful self-assertion. Like he doesn't do that every day of his life. Be very careful about feeling jealous and resentful of someone else's success. You may feel that their success was stolen from you. This is hysterical, but that is not necessarily true. Work for your own interests, but not against someone else's. Even under the best circumstances, you may encounter serious opposition from others. The best way to deal with this is to get the encounter out in the open and get it over with. Please get it over with. Go away. Otherwise, you will have to deal with your own or the other person's sullen irritability. Your own sullen irritability. Yeah. If you feel a vague, undefined anger at the world in general during this transit, it is because you have tried to ignore the anger or hurt within yourself. Now it is bubbling up in a form so disguised that you cannot readily diagnose its source. Just you, Trump, just you. But your energy level is generally very high now. If you can work with others without getting entirely wrapped up in your own ego, you can accomplish a great deal of work and bring many affairs to a successful conclusion. The effects of this transit depend on your ability to handle one-to-one relationships, and we know he fails at that on the regular. Okay, so Mars, the people of the US for this year, also has quite a significant bingo card for Kamala Harris. So it is in opposition to her Mars, but I didn't even pull that up because it's a little, I mean, that would count, but we just read it for Trump. So all those same things could be applying to Kamala. But what I did look at is conjunct her Saturn. And so what that indicates is that this may be somewhat difficult, full of frustrations and irritating occurrences. Do not plan to launch any daring or risky activity because the chances are that you will not succeed. Your energies do not have the necessary vigor or power. It is better to concentrate upon routine activities that require you to follow a well-established pattern. Other people may seem unusually irritating to you today. They may seem to be trying to get your goat, or worse, to be taking actions that are quite destructive to you and your interests. You feel angry, but this transit does not often give you the opportunity to express your anger. You may be forced to seethe in silence. Although it is not a good idea to let the energy just sit inside you, it can become physically destructive. If you feel angry under this transit, find some hard work to do and really get into it. Then the energy will dissipate and you will be able to face the problem without also having to deal with your anger. In fact, this transit is especially good for work that requires concentrated energy and great discipline, or very careful technique. Working with metals, especially steel and iron, or with cutting instruments is favored, but avoid working with cutting tools if you are experiencing the angry side of this transit. You could hurt yourself. She also has the trine to her sun. So during this transit, your energies are high and you feel vigorous and willing to work. At the same time, your self-confidence is unusually strong. You feel no need to struggle against others because you know your normal energies will carry you through any situation. And since you are able to work from such a calm position, your work is more effective and more competent than usual. This is favorable for initiating all kinds of activity, especially physical activity, but it is much more likely that you will work on projects you have started earlier. You do not feel violently competitive, but if someone offers a challenge, you won't back down. Therefore, this is a good time for all types of athletics. You will enjoy the contest. I think also because it's air, I think we're talking about intellectual athletics. You will enjoy the contest, but you will not feel driven to win at all costs. The game will seem satisfactory by itself, and you will carry this viewpoint over into all the activities you become involved in at this time. This is a favorable transit for situations that require decisive action. Your mind is operating with great energy while maintaining equilibrium. Consequently, you are very clear about your intentions and you know what course to follow at every turn. No matter what you do under this influence, others will see you as someone with a definite personality. Your vigor and enthusiasm will make a favorable impression, so you will be in a good position to deal with bosses or other people in power. In general, this is a favorable time for dealing with men, regardless of your own sex. If you are involved in a love relationship, this is a favorable transit for that. The present balance between your needs and your loved one's needs for self-gratification enables both of you to give and gain from each other. Yay, Kamala. And also, there is also this sextile to her moon. So that means that this is a time of strong emotions when, much like the transit by trining, you seek out experiences that involve both your mind and feelings. You will have a strong desire to experience all of your faculties as a whole person, not just with your mind. Also, you will defend your beliefs and opinions with emotional and passionate fervor. It is not that you are looking for a fight, but you will not run from one either. You won't allow anyone to walk all over you so long as this transit lasts. Nevertheless, you are not irritable or pugnacious, merely high-spirited and unwilling to lose. You seek out relationships and friends who will arouse your emotions as well as your intellect, and you may be on the lookout for someone with whom you can have a passionate sexual relationship. This transit also makes existing sexual relationships more intense. You will have the energy to work very hard, but only on projects that affect you personally. This may take the form of working in your home or doing some kind of work for your immediate community. But unless the project appeals to you emotionally, it is unlikely to arouse your interest at this time. There is some impulsiveness with this transit and a tendency to leap to conclusions. Also, your thinking is not very objective because you identify too strongly with your own personal interests and attitudes. Which colors your perception of the world? Which colors your perception of the world? Even if you recognize that something is objectively true, that does not carry as much weight as your feelings on the subject. Obviously, this is not a good time to make a decision that must be unbiased and objective, nor is it a good time to make decisions concerning matters that will affect you long after the present, because your current subjective orientation will change and what is appropriate now will be inappropriate in the future. So just back to this. So I probably read far too much. And if anybody's still here, thank you for being here. But I just wanted to point out that this Mars was hitting a lot of key people in a lot of key places. And this Mars is us, is the people for the year. And so there's this definite the tension that we've been experiencing already is only going to increase, is what I would say. Mars rules not only the ascendant, but it also rules the 6th house, which is in the mundane situation. When we're looking at the mundane, it's illness, servants, and unions. I thought of that when I was reading Kamala, the idea of metalworking and such, like unions. Could be issues with unions, but it's also the military, people in uniform. So there could be involvement with that. There's this little configuration that's getting tighter and tighter. And actually, we're looking at, this is right on the descendant. 7th house is the house of partnerships. It's the other, and it's open enemies. So, we've got some energy going on here. The moon always represents the people, and it's in the 9th house, and it rules the 9th house. But it's in Leo. So I just add, it's like fire again, fire. 9th house is going to be, foreign. It's religion, the university, and foreign affairs. But it's also the judicial system, and so we're going to have some sort of emotional involvement in the judicial system coming up. So then, like I said, the 10th house is general. It's the authority. It's prestige and enforcers, authority, prestige, and enforcers. The reputation of the country, but it's the president. It's the executive branch, and it's naturally ruled Leo, and so that's ruled by the sun. And here we are in Aries. This is the Aries Ingress, but it's right on the cusp of the 5th house, and so the 5th house is procreation and recreation. It's also self-expression, but the other thing that it's a succedent house. It's supporting the 4th house. So whatever energies are here it's like the resources that support the 4th house. And so the president seems to be supporting the rebels, is what this kind of looks like to me. I don't know. And with these other things in here, we could look quickly at so Venus rules, she's exalted in Pisces, and she's ruling the open enemies, the other legal battle, the opposing side. And she's also ruling the 12th house of hospitals, prisons, and welfare, the powerless. And Saturn, of course, is a malefic as well. Venus seems pretty uncomfortable here, stuck in between these two. Saturn rules the 3rd house, the press, communication, and this 4th house of the homeland. So there's that. Anything else I want to talk about? The 2nd house is our resources, the nation's resources, financial institutions. And so that's ruled by Jupiter, which is just set. Jupiter has just gone under the horizon in this conjunction here with the descendant and Uranus. So that doesn't look good financially for us. And what else? That's about it, I guess. So anyway, we will, I'll be looking at this chart in more detail, but and this went on probably way long. I may never even show this, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Please consider subscribing to my channel. I'm trying to grow it. And like this video, share it if you feel the need to do so. Comment. Tell me what you think. I'd love to hear from you. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.